Hey Ratbags, it's Jade today taking another look at legendary weapons in Core Keeper, and it's the Phantom Spark, the best bow in the game. It can do incredible shots of damage, multiple shots in fact, and even better, summons a ghostly scholar to fight by your side and heal you. So how do you get it? Well, that's what I'm going to show you today. So leave a like if you find the video useful, make sure you subscribe for more Core Keeper and crafting game content, and let's go. So, Phantom Spark is a achievement tied weapon, and yes, it's one of the few legendary weapons that has no durability. So you won't be able to reinforce it, but you will be able to go ahead and upgrade it. We'll talk more about that at the end, but to unlock this we're going to need to find 3 specific items in the Sunken Sea in the Forlorn Metropolis ruins. So that's kind of stage 1, and that's going to be challenging enough. Then you have to go and find a special mini temple that allow you to, once you get the right item, pass through and get the recipe to craft the Phantom Spark. First off, let's go ahead and get all the stuff we need to make the admin key, which will get us access to the Glyph treasury room. We're looking for basically special little mini cards that you'll find called Shutdown Protocol, Anomaly Report and Overwrite Transcript. Each one of these will be found in a broken core inside a Forlorn Metropolis ruins inside the Sunken Sea. Each of the ruins that has a broken core has one of these 2 entrances, so you might want to swim all the way around to check rather than waste your time exploring maybe ruins that you don't need to. Although of course you normally want to see if there's any good loot inside anyway, but either one with a big arch or one with these 4 statues means there's a broken core inside. Of course there are other ways to get into these places, but that's the main one that tells you it's there. These are massive, they are huge kind of labyrinth style arenas and corridors that you have to go through, fighting tons of scholars and the sentries. And just like most loot locations or scenes as they're called, they're always the same amount of blocks from pretty much core, with maybe a little bit of variation depending on world generation. So the first one I found was the Shutdown Protocol, and this is approximately 550 blocks away from the core. I've explained how to do this before, but if you look on your map you will see the coordinate numbers, and then underneath it you'll see how many blocks away you are. So obviously it's a circle and you can explore multiple places, so whatever the Sunken Sea is, you have to kind of look along a very curved line wherever there's 550 blocks. It's a bit easier to spot though with these ruins because they are so large. It's just a case of then exploring them and finding the broken core. So inside the core is the Shutdown Protocol, but don't forget to loot a special chest in this room. You might have missed this because they didn't actually loot the chest because it's quite hard to see sometimes. Inside you'll find an item called a Channeling Gemstone, and you're going to need this later. So obviously feel free to go ahead and loot anything else you want, especially decorations, but that's the first one done. So the next ruins was actually the one the furthest away at 750 blocks. Same deal, as you saw the entrance there with the statues. Eventually exploring all the way through it, you'll find the core room, and in the chest you'll find the energy string. And inside the core itself you can go ahead and get this one, the transcript. The last ruins I had to explore was probably the toughest to find. I'd gone and checked out various locations that would be 650 blocks away from the core. And at one point I thought the map or the ruins were so large that maybe I missed one of the core rooms, so spent a lot of time going back and forth. Obviously the Sunken Sea is procedurally generated, so it could be in a different direction from me and you, and if you've got your world settings changed you might find lots of different biomes mixed in, so that might make things even tougher, like I had here with the Molten Zone. So yeah, here's a little example of how big these places are and how much you might have to explore to get through. You might also need a good amount of mining damage to get through some of the places, or make sure you've got the rift lens so you can teleport over the gaps or bring lots of bridges. But yeah, I was looking for the one that was 650, you can see here by the question marks, trying to find a circle. Eventually I did find it. Inside was the Anomaly Report, and again check the chest and pick up the fractured limbs. This is what the core rooms look like, just in case you might have realised or missed it. If you go and visit the Cloak Merchant, you can then go ahead and buy the Empty Crystal. It's around 3,000 coins. That's according to the wiki, but I think this is an old item. I swear mine was a little bit cheaper. With the Shutdown Protocol, the Anomaly Report and the Overwrite Transcript in your inventory, then obviously you just click on the Empty Crystal and start basically crafting. It then gives you the admin key, and that's what you can use at the special ruins I mentioned earlier. It usually spawns around 500 blocks or so away from the core. Inside some general loot and some maybe statues on the plinths that look like Yoda, More importantly, inside the glyph parchment, as well as a bunch of other valuables. So you need all 3 of them other items I told you about that you picked up inside the chest, inside each one of the core rooms, as well as 100 of the octarine bars and 20 ancient gemstones. Same thing again, make sure they're all in your inventory and then go ahead and craft, and you've now got the Phantom Spark. This is a seriously OP weapon. As I said, it can do multiple shots of damage, up to 5 once you go all the way to the top end. So that's if you hold the multi-shot button, otherwise if you just use it as normal, it'll be 1 shot but it does a good amount of damage. The Ghost Scholar has a chance of spawning every time you kill an enemy, 20% chance. They'll last for around 15 seconds and they'll replenish your health all the way till full, but very slowly. Creatures will try attacking the Scholars, so they can be really handy if you've got lots of enemies. They can do up to 151 melee damage or 202 ranged, and obviously they can't be killed. They'll stay with you for the 15 seconds and you can summon multiple of them. If you're killing a ton of enemies, then you've got more chance of them spawning. Phantom Spark stats itself are 10% critical hit chance, 27% critical hit damage, 198 to 242 physical range damage, and is a level 15 legendary item. It doesn't look like anything that usually affects minion damage or pet damage will give this any kind of boost, other than just the regular standard kill more enemies and then you've got more chance of it spawning the Phantom stealth. Obviously if you go ahead and upgrade it, then you're going to need plenty of high-end materials, especially the jewels, and lots of coins. It'll increase the range damage as well as the critical hit damage, but there's only 1 increase to critical hit chance, which I do believe is the upgrade at 18. And you don't increase the amount of the ghost being summoned. So at level 19, 248 to 302 physical damage, 1.4 attack per second, 11% critical hit chance, 33% critical hit damage, and 20% chance of summoning a Cavalian Ghost / Phantom. In comparison, something like the Solarite Crossbow, which does 209 to 255 physical damage, 7% critical hit chance and 18% physical range damage, is obviously a much better or more powerful weapon. So again, as long as you know where the ruins are and you've managed to find enough of the items to go ahead and summon it, it's a relatively easy one to get hold of. Just got to have the patience to go through all of the ruins and hopefully find the pieces you need. I would use it with anything that's going to increase your attack speed using a ranged weapon, as the faster you can do damage, and obviously the more damage you do, then obviously the more it's going to trigger that Phantom, which is super useful. So armor sets like Gemstone, obviously the Omrith, maybe even Solarite, all increase your range and melee damage speed. Also increases your range speed, and obviously the Hunter set, although an early or sort of mid-game set, you can still go ahead and upgrade it to get purely that extra range damage to finish off enemies quicker. Pupire foods are going to be good as well, so make sure you make anything with that. And that's pretty much it. That's how you get the Phantom Spark. If you found this video useful, like I said, please leave a like. Let me know what kind of build you're rolling it with, and I'll see you for more guides soon. Bye bye.